Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. Wait, the earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, Neanderthals developed tools, we built a wall. We built the pyramids, math, science, history, unraveling the mystery that all started with a big bang. Hey!
Today we're here at the Virginia Museum of Natural History with the executive director of the museum, Dr. Joe Keiper, and a brand new exhibit that is here to, give you a reason to come out, maybe if you've already been here before. And Dr. Keiper, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
We appreciate it. This new exhibit, I think you had some guests in, dignitaries from the state yesterday, I believe it was.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about what this exhibit is. I can't even pronounce it, and what it's about.
All right, we have an exhibit in our lobby called Australopithecine. And what Australopithecines are is they are a hominid ancestor of the genus Homo. In other words, we are classified as the genus Homo, Homo sapiens. And so if you go back to just shy of 2 million years ago, there were these species that wandered the planet in equatorial Africa. And, the remains were found by scientists about 5 or 6 years ago. And when they studied these fossils, they found an interesting link. In other words, this kind of shows the evolutionary progression from the genus Australopithecus up to the genus Homo. So the people of the Republic of South Africa were kind enough to loan us these casts, they're replicas of the actual fossils. And so we have them on display here as a real honor, to us for having the opportunity to show these particular displays.
Is it fair to say that these are, or at least what we know of them, are almost human, but they're not?
No, they're not human, but what they are is they are a link that puts us at a period of time just as the genus that humans belong to, Homo, had begun to evolve on Earth. So again, our genus Homo that we belong to is about 2.2 million years old. But Homo sapiens, we're only about 180,000 years old. So we're going way back in time prior to when humans were actually on the planet Earth.
But it's fair to say that science proves, or at least illustrates, that we were descended from what you're showing as the exhibit here. Is that correct?
Yeah, these are essentially our early ancestors, and we can link that back to earlier forms of life as well, this kind of, again, evolutionary progression, a process of extinction and then the eventual flourishing of a new species that takes its place.
You said this was about 2 million years ago that we're talking about. If we back it up to our earliest form of life as we know that we have been descended from, how far back does it go? Give us a reference point.
Well, we can actually go back to some of the earlier stages of life here in the museum, back to 500 million years ago.
500 million.
And we can go back even into billions of years when we look at microbial life, back in the very early stages of Earth. Now, the thing is that, of course, it's kind of hard to compare a dinosaur or a deer or a human to something like a 500 million year old algal mat. But the thing that links us all together is the molecule DNA. And so we can basically link genetic relationships across time and across these different, very different forms of life that essentially link us all back to a common ancestor, that first kind of spark of life on Earth going back hundreds of millions of years, if not truly billions of years.
I think it's fascinating. I wanted to repeat this comment, get you to expound on it a little bit, that we are truly all Africans. How is that so?
Well, when we start to look at the genus Australopithecus, which we're talking about here, in our exhibit, we talk specifically about Australopithecus sediba. Sediba means wellspring in the Sesotho language of South Africa. What we mean by wellspring is it is representative of the emergence of Homo on the African continent. So when we look at the earliest forms of humanity, if that's what you want to call them, we go to Homo erectus and Homo habilis and Homo neanderthalis and others. What we're talking about is the flourishing of human life on the African continent before the spread of humans across the world. So indeed, when Dr. Boaz last night gave a lecture on Australopithecus sediba, he called us all African. And if we go back to that time period, about 1.9 million to 2 million or so years ago, we're talking about our origins on the African continent.
Of course, we didn't know it was Africa then, but that's what it became, right?
That's right. That's right. So it is something of an analogy, because we didn't call it Africa, and certainly, back at that point, language, in Australopithecines, if they had language at all, would have been quite a bit different than ours.
Okay, I know we are a state museum, but for Martinsville, just how unique and how special is this particular exhibit here for it to have come to this museum?
Well, I like to say that science is a small community. It really is. And so Dr. Boaz is the founding director of this museum, and after he founded the museum and wandered the planet, really, and ultimately ended back in Martinsville, he has connections to other scientists around the world. So he has a faculty position at VCU in Richmond, and from there he is colleagues with the anthropologists that are there, and they're the ones that do research in Eastern and Southern Africa. And so that was kind of that connection. So without that connection, it never would have made it down here. We're only the third institution in North America to display these actual specimens. And it's just because of that connection with Dr. Boaz and the museum and VCU, and then ultimately the people of South Africa that come here. So I'd say that's pretty special.
Absolutely. This exhibit is going to be here for how long? For people that want to come out to look at it?
We have it. It's a good question. The Australopithecine exhibit is going to be here for at least 4 months, so that'll be through June. Now, there is not a next stop scheduled for it, so we are happy to hold on to it and continue to display it until the next institution kind of steps up to take and display that. That's up to the Embassy of South Africa.
Just outside of this exhibit, for people that want to come by, tell us a little bit about what else you've got here at the museum that's available for people when they come to look at this exhibit.
Okay, so just to start with, in our lobby, the lobby area, the store, the cafe, the actual lobby, that's all free. Mm-hmm. And we have Australopithecine and the specimens of Australopithecus sediba in the lobby. So anybody can come and enjoy that little experience for free. If you are a member or come and pay our admission fee, we have a brand new exhibit, a pair of exhibits actually on display. They've only been open a short time. One is simply called Dinosaurs, because it's a celebration of dinosaurs and how they truly fascinate us about this concept of ancient life. In our special exhibit gallery, we have Dinosaur Discovery, and that is geared towards the kids. So imagine yourself as a 6 or 10-year-old or something along those lines. We got a great dinosaur maze, 1,000 square feet that the kids can go through, and at every wrong turn, there's a special experience for them with fossils, with interactives, with information on their favorite kind of creatures, and then eventually, of course, they make it out of the exhibit and can enjoy a dig pit. We have real fossils of dinosaurs on display, and from there, of course, they can go and enjoy our permanent galleries that, we have here all the time.